hosted by Austin Up, the City of Austin Commission on Seniors, and the LBJ School of Public Affairs.
Today about the resources and the talents that our seniors offer our community, but I want to recognize from the start how the symposium and the research and the work that UT is doing is important, and that if we can bring the power of UT and the city together more, together with our nonprofits, together with our city staff, we can be innovative leaders on policy. We can come up with the solutions that we need for problems that sometimes seem intractable. We can end up being the leaders for our country.
Could you speak a little bit to the diversity of older adults in Austin, specifically some of the ethno-racial or socioeconomic differences among our seniors?
Certainly. I first want to point out, though, as said by one of the gentlemen earlier in the session, older adults, regardless of racial categories, ethnic categories, socioeconomic categories, are the most diverse cohort in the United States. When you think about older adults, they have brought so many divergent life experiences to their point in time now that it's really difficult to broadly generalize. But if we think about some of those traditional categories, generally speaking, 8.4% of our population in Austin is ages 65 and up. With respect to Austin's overall population, the older adult cohort in Austin tends to be more white, more African American, less Hispanic, less Asian, less other and multi-ethnicity. But if you think about it in terms of change over time, the Hispanic older adult population is increasing dramatically, and the white and African American population is decreasing.
Services, we believe that helps. And so that's the model that we use. Transportation's an issue. Happy to say that we're even addressing that through a pilot, where if people go to the Southeast Health and Wellness Center and you don't have transportation, we'll provide it through Lyft and we'll bring you back home. That's a pilot that just started. So I think if you look at the challenges, it's around access to care, it's location, it's the availability of services when you arrive at a location, and how do you get there and get back home.
The resources, and without help, they can't do that. And in my view, this causes a real public health issue, because what you see, and the studies prove this, when they don't get that help, when they remain socially isolated, when they're lonely, you have bad health outcomes. So they don't eat right, they have cognitive decline, they have psychological challenges. So that's why it's critical. And if you know the history of our agency, and I was just talking to Andrew in the back about this.
I'll start. I think that we need to make the private sector more aware of seniors and the senior market. I mean, sometimes seniors are just not on the radar. I mean, if you think even about television ratings, you sort of don't count anymore after you get past a certain age. Like,
yeah. But I mostly want to tell you, I cannot speak for Lyndon Johnson's after his death, as I can assure you I dare not in his lifetime. But I believe with all that is in me that my father would feel that everyone in this room is a hero to his hopes and dreams, and especially the students of the LBJ School, whom he so hoped he could provide a place where they could take the best academic learning and the most hands-on opportunity to serve and meld those two together to gain the skills that were necessary to be informed and effective public servants in either appointed or elected office in the nonprofit world or in our government services. I think he would be so thrilled, and I know I am as a member of the foundation that supports this school, to see so many of you from so many different walks of life here together. My sister has an expression that she often uses, which is, I mean more to me than anybody I ever knew. and facts are ultimately, it does come down to that. And one of the changes, one of the things I feel is many of us have abdicated our concern, our interest, our education, our understanding, our needs for the fact that if we are blessed, one thing that we will have in common, whether we're African American or whether we're Hispanic or whether we're Caucasian or whether we're rich or poor, we are all headed towards getting older, and there are going to be limitations in our lives that are going to increase with that process. So we are all in the same boat. With that in mind, I'd like to make sure that the LBJ School and all the panelists know how grateful I am for you recognizing that that boat is about to pick up each and every one of us. And it's up to us to figure out how we can help make a difference.
The LBJ School. Yes. Although that has a big it was the foundation that made, Jesus so wonderful. But Jesus is one of those, I was trying to think about a term, sort of a Renaissance public servant.
Community engagement, and that one of the, sometimes we forget as public policy folks that we don't engage the public to try to determine what exactly it is their needs are and what exactly is that they're, in terms of their feeling, in terms of services that need to take place. There's a lot of rural areas, unincorporated areas, and those people get left behind. And so it is really important for the city and the county to work together to make those connections. And that's why I think it's important for the state to be involved in this, because they have a role to play in this. There are a lot of areas of our state that are isolated and are difficult to get to, and we need their leadership to help us make sure that we address the problem in a complete way. Minimize the investments that need to get made in human beings to the detriment of the whole. And so I think while there is something that you always want to be a good steward, but you also need to understand that we do have the capacity to do more than we do today.
Hey everyone, should have said this at the beginning, but anything expressed in the Livability for Longevity Symposium is not the view of the LBJ School. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today, for joining us. Hope you learned something new. Welcome.